Hey, it's Aaliyah, and I am back with another conversation. Daily Conversations is all about highlighting people's stories, highlighting their impact, their why, the reason that they do what they do, right? Because there's so many people out here that are doing things for their community, that are doing things to progress their lives. And so this podcast is to inspire and educate you to do the same thing. For me, I am Aaliyah. I am a homeschooling mom, an educator. I am an edpreneur, someone who is like an entrepreneur but in education. So I love talking about education. I recently just got accepted into a tiny fellowship program, a grant program. And so I am meeting a lot of founders in this program and connecting with founders. And I just want to connect this way to hear these founders share their stories. And so today I have a special guest with me. I would love if you could tell us who you are, something interesting about yourself, and what you do.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Harriette Gibbs. I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a special educator of 30 years. I've served as the IEP chair for 18 of those years and currently back in the classroom looking forward to retirement. I also have the Howard and Elizabeth Caldwell Foundation that was started to give our scholars with disabilities scholarships to college if they were interested in going to college. But we also, if you're not going to college and you wanted to go into some type of vocational training, we also offer the scholarship for that as well. Something fun about me, is that what you said? I
Something, yep, interesting.
love Disney. I'm in love with Disney.
Like the movies, songs, everything.
Everything Disney. The park, the where did I go on the cruise? All of it. I'm a Disney fanatic.
That is so cute. I love that. I love because I just recently did an interview with David and he was talking about the inner child and staying in touch with your inner child. And so I think that that's very beautiful when we can stay in touch with, because I feel like a lot of people grew up on Disney, right? Where like that's like a part of our childhood. So I think that that's very beautiful. But you have 30 years of experience in education.
Yes.
That like that's amazing. So for me, like I'm an educator and I got my master's in education, but I only spent like 4 years in the classroom. How have you survived? And I don't even want to say survive, but it's kind of like surviving. 30 years in the classroom. What has your experience been like?
Well, when I first started, I was in the classroom. I had a self-contained classroom at that time, and um, pretty much they gave me this group of kids, and they said, "Yeah, take them. They're not going to do much of anything." And I was floored. I was like, "What?" Like, I mean, I don't care, disabilities or not. They still need to learn and need to have someone pour into them just like everyone else. Why are we shortchanging them? Why do we think that they can't um evolve? So I had my first little group of kids, and I had fourth and fifth, I believe. And everybody in the fourth and fifth grade, they were doing these wonderful models of the solar system. And so I'm like, well, my kids can do that too. And we're going to do it. So we did our little model of the solar system. They wrote their little reports, and we made such a great impression that we made it all the way to the front of the school and in our little showcase cabinet. So getting connected and feeling like you're making a difference is what to me really kind of keeps you going. And then also, I mean, after a while, the classroom can be tough, and I came out. So I've been out for 18 years doing the IEP chair, running IEP meetings and things like that. So I did need to take a break from the classroom. And then since then, I've returned.
Wow. So being on the IEP chair for 18 years, I would love to delve more into that, especially since your background is in special education. Would you mind maybe explaining like what an IEP is and why it's important if you feel like your child needs an IEP to go ahead and get one or start the process?
So IEP stands for individual education program. And pretty much the process can begin when they're toddlers. And if you suspect that your child has a speech problem or some type of physical problem, they may need physical therapy. You can start early. So, early intervention, we always say, is the best. But if they're in school and you see that they're having a problem, a lot of schools have what they call a student support team. So, we always say start there first. We don't want to just um, automatically say, oh, they need an IEP. We want to start and kind of see where they are. And if you look at statistically, you know, students of African descent have always been kind of over identified for special education, especially our boys. So we have to be careful. So I would always suggest you start with your student support team, go through. They're supposed to put in some interventions. You're going to see if these interventions work. And if they don't and you still see a problem, then your next step may be to come to the IEP team, discuss your concerns, then you have an evaluation if needed. And also, I mean, if they don't necessarily need an IEP, but you're looking for accommodations, they may qualify for a 504 plan. And the 504 plan is something that last a while because you can take your 504 plan with you to college, you can take that to work. Your IEP is going to end at the age of 21. After that, it's done. It's not to say that you can't use it when you go to college to tell them that, you know, I had a disability and these are the accommodations I received. Some schools will honor at least some of those accommodations for you. But you have to remember the IEP does have pretty much, I know I probably shouldn't say expiration date, but it does end. It ends at the age of 21 for most of our scholars. And mainly our scholars that may have a little more severe disabilities. They usually stay in school to 21, 22-ish.
How can because something that I've noticed when I was a teacher, and I've been in plenty of IEP meetings where parents may have not understood what was going on, and may have not maybe not know how to advocate. And so, what advice would you give to parents? Like, how could parents support children who have IEPs, whether it be in school or even at home? What does that look like?
So I know it's hard because a lot of parents work, and then, like you said, they just don't have the background knowledge of special education. So one thing I would always suggest, and I think this happens in every district, when you have an IEP meeting, there's this booklet that we give called Your Parental Rights. I think it's very important for parents to really read through that book. That is one way to become a better advocate for yourself, is to really read through and to see what the guidelines are, what are your rights when it comes to assessments. If you feel like you're going to have a dispute where you don't agree with the team, what are your rights? So that is one booklet that is absolutely amazing to learn. um, and then I think, you know, when it comes to the IEP team, I believe in making it a partnership. So making your parent feel welcome when they're at the table because they are a team member, number one. Um, and hopefully creating a safe space where they'll feel comfortable enough to ask the questions that they may not want to ask. And another thing is you can seek out groups maybe within your area to see if there is a parent support group, you know, that you can attend. For instance, our nonprofit also hosts, we host, it's called Coffee and Connections. And that is a parent group for our parents that have students with disabilities. And we typically come together once a month. There's a topic. And then, of course, parents get to share and feed off of each other. It's a networking opportunity as well. So I think those are some of the things that a parent can do in order to make themselves a better advocate for their child.
What about at home? How can parents support their children at home if they have an IEP?
Well, I think supporting them at home, one is to ensure that, you know, you are staying connected with the teacher to make sure know when homework is given, if homework is given. Make sure that you're helping your child with homework. Checking in with your child daily to see if there are any major frustrations that you need to talk about now rather than later. You know, if little Susie says, "Mom, I'm having a tough time in math," that's your cue to maybe call the teacher, send an email, like, what's going on? She's saying she's struggling. You know, we have accommodations and supplemental aids in place for the student. Are they being given while they're in class? So I think when they're home, again, just to check in to make sure that during report card times you are aware and that you are checking those grades, just like anybody else. When there's progress report time, are you getting your progress reports? Are you reading through those progress reports? And basically, you know, I just think the communication among the child, the teacher, is very valuable in making sure that this IEP plan works for the child.
Thank you. That was really good information. Just because I know, I like as an educator, you just see sometimes how parents they really do need that support when it comes to showing up for their children. Maybe not even feeling embarrassed about the situation. There's so many. It's just so much you have to understand when you have an IEP and not feeling like this is going to hold your child back, but really it's been put into place to help your child meet certain
Right.
milestones.
Right.
I want to know, where did you see the need to open up your organization, right? Because you help children, like you said, get money to continue their education. Why is that important?
Because again, for me working with this population, often seeing how they are kind of pushed aside from other colleagues, to their very own peers when they know that there's might be something that they consider different about their classmate. It's a population that I think doesn't always get that push or, you know, that talk as far as like, hey, you know, you can still get a scholarship. You might have, you know, you might be in school right now and you have this IEP, but that doesn't mean that's going to hold you back. It doesn't mean that you can't succeed out there in life. You can go for scholarships too, especially if you're keeping your grades decent. Now, you know, if your grades are really below, then you know it's going to be a little harder trying to find a scholarship. But we want kids to know that you can still be successful. And again, it's connections with kids. I had a kid when I was in high school, and I was in the high school IEP chair for, like, I know at least 8 of my years. And developing those relationships, like there was this kid, his name was Sammy. He's finished school, so I can call his name. His name was Sammy. Sammy was a very smart guy, but he had a label on him because when he was young, he didn't want to control that behavior. And he, according to him, he was kind of coerced to act out a little bit in school. So as a teenager, he was like, no, I'm not really like that. And I'm smart. And he showed us that. We could tell by his grades. But he was also a kid that came from a single parent home. And so he loved Velveeta shells and cheese. And often, you know, if he didn't eat, we had a whole cabinet in our office just for him. It was called Sammy's Closet. And so when he needed his lunch, when he needed something to snack on, he always knew he could come in our office and just go to that closet and get what he needed. So when I see kids that, you know, really want to do well, but they may not have the support from home like they would like, you know, I feel like I can step in to help. But the reason too for the foundation is because I had an older sister who was 18 years older than me. So she was born, this is a long time ago, but she was born in the late 1940s. Um, at that time, my sister had severe disabilities, meaning she couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, she couldn't do anything. Everything had, she had to have help for everything. Now, when when I come along, and again, it's 18 years between us, so I'm seeing my sister who can't do anything. I was, I didn't know how to feel because I'm like, I had friends that would say, I don't want to play with you because your sister, they saw it. They said she's different. So that was a tough time, trying to deal with that. Yet, my sister, for that time frame, they were, my parents were told that they should put her in an institution. So probably around that time frame, a lot of parents probably did that. And they said that she wouldn't live beyond her teen years and they should put her away. Well, my parents weren't going to do that. They loved her just like they loved all of us. And we saw some changes and growth, things that doctors said she wasn't going to do. She could do. Like, they were like, she'll never hold a cup, but she could hold a cup. She could hold onto the banister and at least walk up the steps. And then when she would come down, she might bump down on her bottom. But these are things that she wasn't supposed to do. She lived well into her 30s, but she also had epilepsy, and that's what kind of took her out. One night, it was just a whole bunch of seizures after one another. But this is a woman that thrived when the world said, toss her aside. And so I know a lot of times people would ask me, like, why'd you name it the Howard and Elizabeth Caldwell Foundation? I'm like, because it's named after my parents. And so then a lot of people will say, oh, well, were they philanthropists? Were they? I said, we weren't philanthropists with money, but we were philanthropists with love. That's what I saw with my parents. And watching them do that, I guess I didn't plan to go in special ed. So, if you ask me, like, was that your goal? No, I wasn't. Somehow I fell in there, but I really feel like it was my calling as well. Because I've have great connections with a lot of my old students, even the new ones now. So maybe I didn't realize it was my passion at that time, but sometimes you get pushed into it. And then when you're in it long enough, you realize, oh, I do feel a connection here. This is some work I feel like I'm supposed to do. So pretty much this is, how the Howard and Elizabeth Caldwell Foundation started. Again, based on my sister, watching my parents pour love into her. And as a special educator, I like to think I did the same thing for my kids, is offer them some love.
Wow, that is such a beautiful story to the beginning of your foundation and how it connects with your sister's story. And I'm so sorry to hear about your sister, but I just love how you were able to take those experiences and build on those throughout life. And like you said, even though you may have not meant to go into special education, it's like a full circle, and you're in special education, been for a long time, but also helping other students, just like how you said your parents pour love into you and your sister, you're doing the same. So can you talk more about your foundation, what you all do, and the impact that you feel like your foundation is having?
Okay, so basically, again, we give out scholarships to students that have disabilities. That's one thing. That's an impact. We're trying to get more students to college and see them graduate and be successful. The other thing is we do host the Coffee and Connections, which is a parent group that we meet monthly to um, discuss any concerns that the parent may have. That group is based on, I will always say, like K through 12. I can answer your questions basically K through 12. Like, how does the IEP relate to school? What do you need to do? What are the things you need to look for? So that's another program we have. With our students that have been awarded scholarships, we offer them mentoring, and that's what we're going through the Tiny Fellowship for, is to build out the mentorship a little bit better and to attract more young people into it. Um, we adopt a family every year and provide gifts, and we host a family fun day. That's one of our signature events. Again, that event is our health and wellness event, and the goal is to have the whole family come out and play, not just the kids, but everyone engage in a day of some outdoor activity. Pretty much that's it. We started like in 2017, but we were impacted with COVID, so that made us take a turn, and we had to pivot some. But we are grateful that we are still here. We survived. But during those times, we just financially poured our money into the pantries at that time to make sure our students and families were eating. Um, so we have done, I think, some impactful things. I know when Hurricane Harvey hit, we donated school supplies to a school in Texas. So I think we do some amazing things, and we also have a scholarship brunch coming up in May. If anybody in Baltimore would like to attend, please come on out and see us.
Yes, please do. So for the students, because something that I've noticed is that sometimes students can like how can either teachers or parents support the student with their IEP and like how they feel maybe about their IEP, and like moving them forward on their educational journey without them feeling like it's a barrier, or without them feeling like, I have to get this thing because I can't do this, right? How do you change a child's mindset, and maybe build confidence, or cultivate or amplify that confidence in them as a parent or a teacher?
Well, I think I can speak more as the teacher. I try to always first of all, I think when a child gets an IEP, I think it should really be discussed with the child. I think they should know. A lot of times I feel that parents don't necessarily want the kid to know, or they may tell them that they have an IEP, but they don't understand what that is. So I think one thing about communication, I think you should talk to your child about the IEP and let them know what it is, and let them know what this disability is that they have. And always just, I think, affirming them that, even though you have a disability, it doesn't define every step of your life. You can still be successful. You may only need this IEP, and the IEP is not forever. You may only need this IEP for 2 years. You may be struggling in reading, and you may be struggling in math. We may need to do some intervention. Like we're finding a lot of kids during COVID, well, when they were in kindergarten and first grade, at that time, you missed some instruction. So, yes, it may show up now as a learning disability, but once you stay consistent with your instruction and doing the work, you may find that you no longer need it. So I guess I try, one, again, be honest with the kid, tell them what it is, explain, and let them ask you questions instead of just saying this is a document you have and you need it. Go in there and listen to this teacher. I think really talking about it, and in high school, again, letting kids know that, again, a disability doesn't define who you are, though. you know you can be successful, and then finding those people who have been successful. Like we have one of our students, she just graduated last year, so you can't tell me that kids with disabilities can't make it through college, because
Exactly.
had one get through college. So I think, again, parents talking to the child, allowing them to ask questions, doing the research about the disability, have the kid with you sometimes doing that research and asking them, and setting goals. I think sometimes too, I think it's important that a parent sets goals with the child. Like, hey, yep, you might not be doing well in reading. What's our goal for the first quarter? You gonna get up to what grade level? Maybe you gonna get up to the second grade level. You gonna go up by 5 months. What? what's our goal, and let them see the successes that they're having by really sticking to and maintaining that goal. I think goal setting is very important, and I think it's helpful, and it gives a child a visual to see and something to measure their success.
That is really, really good. So, in today's society, right, there's a lot going on with education. There's a lot going on with the talk of like the Department of Education and being dismantled. And how do you think that would affect special education, or what are your thoughts on that? If you don't mind sharing.
Um, honestly, I know there will be some changes, but I'm not quite sure what those changes will really look like. Um, of course, like many educators, it's disappointing to have to go down this road of talking about dismantling education, but then you're going to put it in your state's hands. So then you have to wonder, well, what is the state going to do? You know, and it's so many different executive orders being signed, and this is going to be canceled. So I don't know. And part of me, I'm at the age of retirement. So I'm like, I know I still want to help out, but I may be moving out that classroom because it's a lot of uncertainty right now. So I feel like my skills may be better utilized with trying to do three things through my organization, because eventually we want to build like after school programs for reading, math, and things like that. Once I'm retired, I can spend more time doing that.
We talked about this, the start of your foundation and the story and like the why behind it. But what was the need that you seen when you were working as an educator that inspired you to continue, like that inspired you to start the foundation, but like also to continue it? Like what is missing in education that we need outside organizations to step in?
Well, I feel like looking at, again, working with that population of special ed kids and seeing some of them feel hopeless, and seeing how other teachers may not feel like they should give them their all because they got disability, they're not going to get it. Um Seeing that, I know for a fact that all teachers will not give you your accommodations like you need to succeed. And again, watching kids feeling hopeless, feeling like they can't, and some watching some teachers kind of treat them like they can't. So then there is someone that needs to step in and to show them that they can. We want you to live up to your full potential, whatever that may look like. And no, college is not for everyone. So we're not saying that every kid that has a disability goes off to college. Every general ed student is not going off to college. So that's not it. But for those that want to, that can see beyond the IEP, that there's hope, I can do, who can take that, even though a teacher might say you can't do it and you're this and that, but let that negative noise get out your head and you put forth all your effort, and that there are scholarships. Again, with kids in high school looking for scholarships, you are a senior, you're looking for scholarships. Well, if I have an IEP, and most scholarships are going to say I need a 3.0, how many scholarships can I find that might say I just need a 2.5? You're not going to find a whole lot. But just because I start off too with that 2.5, does that mean when I get to college that I stay there? Maybe no. Maybe I can get that 3.0, but I need a chance. I need an opportunity. So that's where the foundation comes in, because again, it's to give that opportunity that typically they may not see.
How, if a student maybe with the IEP wants to pursue higher education or just go on to a different path, however they may have not met their educational goals. Like you said, if scholarships are telling you to have a 3.0 GPA but you have a 2.5, how can you find scholarships, or what are ways that children can continue to pursue their higher education and find resources to do that?
Well, I mean, all I can say is that, like almost anything else, you can hit that Google and look up and say scholarships maybe for students with disabilities. And because there are some, we're not the only ones. So, and then see what the qualifications are. Most of the time, that qualification for students with disabilities could be, we'll break it down a little bit. You can get that 2.5 or 2.0. You got to have that at least. Of course, you still got to meet all of your high school requirements, your credits, service learning hours, and whatever the state assessments are. And just, hearing about different organizations as well. Like, now that you know that the Howard and Elizabeth Caldwell Foundation exists, if you have somebody or friends in Baltimore, Maryland, and their child may have a disability in high school, you can say, hey, I know an organization that offers scholarships. Whereas I know the one young lady, when she won it in 2020, she was like, I've never won anything in my life. And I mean, she was just ecstatic. And she's the one that just graduated from a
Oh,
4-year college.
wow. So that's a real success story right there, right? How are you providing the scholarships? Is this through fundraising?
Most of the time, what we're doing is fundraising, and our scholarships just range between, depends on our funds that we
Mhm.
have. It could be a $500 to a $1,500 scholarship. Lately, we have been able to award the $1,500 scholarships.
Wow.
So we hope to continue going up.
And where can students spend the scholarship at? Is this just for academics? Is this for life things as well? Do you just give
So
them?
this is definitely towards your tuition.
Okay.
So we send this check directly to your school towards tuition. If anything is left over, then the school will disperse that.
Okay, that's amazing. Wow. I think that's so amazing you're able to provide scholarships, because that's honestly what people need, right? Is like the money to help them to pursue the things that they need to have opportunities. Like I don't like to, say it, but we really do need money, to open up doors. So I think that that's really, really great that you're trying to provide scholarships to families. What advice would you give to a student who has an IEP? I know you said it before, but like, say a student is, going through school or just starting school, they found out they have an IEP. What would be your advice to that student?
Well, my advice would be to always work hard and do the best that you can. Seek out assistance when you need it. Don't be ashamed to ask questions. Take advantage of coach class, and learn how to be the best advocate for you, because you're the one that's going to have to speak up for you. And if you want to go to college, you're going to have to take certain classes, pass those classes, so you can obtain the goal that you're setting for yourself.
How can a child advocate for themselves in school? Because sometimes you see, like, when children try to speak up or say anything, it may come off as disrespectful, or even they just get shut down, right? What would be your advice on how to advocate for yourself as a child with the IEP?
So I always tell kids too that, again, if you need help, you ask. If you're having specific problems with a teacher, my suggestion is that you ask the teacher, can you speak with them like after school or after a class for like 2 minutes or so, and let them know how you feel. Now, if it doesn't go well, there are other people in the school, other adults that you may have a connection with. Tell them what's going on, and maybe they can help you advocate for yourself and show you how. So that's the biggest advice that I tend to give kids. Like, try, because I was the type of teacher, my kids could talk to me. They could say, Miss Gibbs, I need to talk to you after class. And it could be something I said to them and they didn't like it and they going to let me know. But it was very respectful as well. And I would let them know, okay, I hear you. Okay. All right. I didn't mean it like that, and then we can move on. I know that all teachers are not receptive to that. So all I tell a kid is to try it. If it doesn't work, then get to an adult that you trust, that you do have a relationship with, let them know, and then maybe you all, the three of you, can have a meeting before it has to get to the parent and really have the parent coming up, to figure out what's going on and get some type of resolve.
What advice would you give to teachers? I've been reading, and you can let me know if this is true, but I've seen that there is a shortage in special education. Like, why do you feel like teachers aren't going into the special education field, and what can we do as educators, or like I said, the education system, what can they do to encourage teachers to go into special education?
Well, I think special education, one is, you got to have a heart. You really do have to have a heart for it if you want to stay in it long term. Special education, I think a turnoff for a lot of people it's a lot of paperwork. A lot of paperwork. And a lot of younger teachers, they don't feel like being bothered with that. So they just like, no. The other thing that younger teachers or new teachers may see and not want to experience, a lot of times some of our kids got some real behavior problems. And teachers like, I don't want to deal with that. So I feel like, in order to tell someone that, hey, consider special education, one, you got to have a heart. Do you really love kids? Do you really want to make a difference? Do you want to have an impact? If so, special education probably is a great place. You will find, even though there can be some difficult kids due to behavior problems, there are some very loving, caring kids who need some help, right? You got to feel like, to me, that you're assigned to the special education or even general education. Really, you are assigned that there is a child out there that needs your help, and there's a child that needs specifically your help. Like, you got to meet them. You don't know who that kid is, but there's a kid waiting for you to help them unlock some knowledge within them. So that's my tip. I mean, like, you really got to have a passion and a love for it. It is a challenging job. It is not an easy job, but again, education as a whole, because I don't want anybody to say, well, teaching general ed, yes, it's all a lot. You're dealing with young people, right? And a lot of young people come with, unfortunately, a lot of baggage. You're not just a teacher. You're going to be the nurse, the doctor, the counselor, and sometimes a parent. Like, you have many roles to play within that one classroom. And that can be taxing when you have your own family, your own kids you have to go home to. So I think that's one reason, again, that a lot of people may not be going into special education or education as a whole. But I would say, if you are looking into it, it's a worthwhile field to consider, and some good things can come out of it. But again, you got to be that person that's compassionate, to have some empathy, that understands that these children do come with a lot, and how can we navigate and bring out the very best in them? And that's the thing.
To wrap up our conversation, what is your hopes for education or special education in general? Or specifically, like, what is your hopes for your organization, for your foundation? Where do you see yourself, like, in the future?
Actually, in the future, I would love to see my organization be a sustainable organization that's around for years, like some of the bigger ones, like the Able Foundation and things like that. I would like us to be the foundation that has um, after school programs in several schools throughout Baltimore City. So much so that we're expanding, maybe out into the counties. Um, and I just want us to be able to support kids, let them know that they are capable and can do whatever it is their heart pretty much desires. and become productive citizens. So that's what I want my organization to eventually get to. Like, I don't want it to be around just for a year, 5 years, and then we done. I want it to be long term. I wanted to see it grow. I want to see several children go to college and graduate from college.
Thank you, Harriette, for sharing your story, sharing your impact, sharing your why with us today. I really loved and enjoyed hearing about your foundation. That is it, the Howard
And Elizabeth
and
Caldwell.
Elizabeth Caldwell Foundation.
Yeah.
Yes,
For short.
HEC for short.
Mm-hmm.
The HEC Foundation. I really loved hearing everything about it. Thank you so much for the hard work that you're doing. Special education is not easy, you all, to work in. Okay. I mean, she said it, before. It's a hard work. You have to have a heart for it. And so, woof, like I'm just still amazed at how you have 30 years, in education, 18 years on the IEP. Like, that is a lot of experience and knowledge to have. And so thank you for just sitting down and sharing what you could with us. I hope that someone, takes this and listens to this and is able to support their child who has an IEP. If anybody wants to get in contact with you, how would they be able to do that?
Well, they can look right here. Oh, you can't see me pointing, but right there behind me, it says follow us on IG at HEC Foundation. If you follow us on Facebook, it's Howard and Liz. And then we have a website, www.hecfoundation.org.
Awesome. You all do not forget to go check Harriette out. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thank you for having me. It was fun. Thank you so much.